Within about 10 years of now, when we have, let's say, for example, we've gone past the 2015 goals of the United Nations, and we're looking at, and we have, for example, a Clinton Global Initiative, where you were last weekend, we had Barack Obama, and we had McCain, and we had the politicians saying, we're going to remain committed to the 2015 goal of halving poverty. Do you think with what's going on right now, as we go past the 2015 target, we are going to, as a result of what's happening now, get closer, get further away, or in fact it wouldn't make that much difference in terms of the crisis?
It will make a lot of difference. We were hoping that many countries in the world will achieve those Millennium Development Goals, all 8 of them. Some of them will achieve 7 of them, or 6 of them, or 5 of them, but this is what will happen. And Bangladesh, where I come from, Bangladesh is very well placed to achieve all 8 Millennium Development Goals, and we are very happy.
Isn't it amazing?
It's amazing. It's to reduce poverty.
Do you think a lot of that has
half.
to do with, well, first of all, what you've been doing, and just the consciousness of people knowing that they have the power to do it, and then partnership of how you've been working together with other organizations and the government?
All sides kind of pull their energy to make it happen. Poverty is declining in Bangladesh very consistently, and we are on the path towards reducing poverty by half by 2015. So we are very happy that we are heading for those 8 Millennium Development Goals. But this is a big shock in the path of achieving goals. Then this situation become worse because this coincided with other crises. Not only it's a big crisis by itself, then it is coincided with other crises, the crisis of food price crisis. Food prices become very high, and then it has impacted on people's life. Poor people have the biggest impact of the food crisis. Now, if the economy slows down, and now it's not if, it is going to slow down. U.S. economy is slowing down. Its impact will spread all over the world because now, because of the globalized economy, you can't retain one big impact on one side of the economy and the other side is not being felt. So now this will be transmitted into countries all over the world, and Bangladesh will also suffer for that. So Bangladesh economy will slow down, and that will impact on the jobs, impact on the income of the poor people. So income will go down, prices will be going up, so we'll have a serious problem. And then on top of it, we have the problem of environmental degradation, where sea level is rising and our livelihoods are being threatened. So many threats are combining its forces at this moment.
Which makes it even more difficult for governments to focus at particular areas like poverty.
Poverty is the speed which we picked up, that will slow down, and in some people it will be reversed. The people who are about to get out of poverty, they will be deeper into poverty rather than getting out of poverty. People who got out of poverty and trying to get out furthermore, they will be pushed into poverty. So you will have a very, very big impact on that. And as a result, achieving Millennium Development Goals will be very, very uncertain.
And I've noticed you've got busier and busier and busier in terms of spreading the message and being out there. Because fundamentally, in terms of actually who takes responsibility for really making sure that we keep that light alive, that's something that we're seeing, certain leaders, and with yourself as part of the elders and as part of the Clinton Global Initiative, and connecting everyone together. We certainly at a time where those connections between us make such a huge difference.
Absolutely.
There's three things I'd just like to cover very briefly on each one of them. You've been involved in and focused at, because all of them are related to poverty and lifting people out of it. And the first one is about ownership and the law. And right now, as we speak, this week, China has got some of the broadest sweeping regulations on land ownership, which will change the way, effectively allow, if it goes through, those in the rural populations, which is the majority of China, to actually be able to start owning land, which is phenomenal. And the mass media may not have picked up on it yet because they're so busy on the crisis. To what extent do you think that ability for people to know that they can actually own and have pride of ownership in what they're building can make a difference to people actually lifting themselves out and securing their future?
For poor people, ownership is a very important aspect. Poor people, particularly poor women, have the ownership that they can hold on to. This is my own. So that can be encouraged every single way. If we provided the ownership of the assets that the women get through the loan that they have, that has transformed the poor families to the ownership of women getting very recognized pattern of ownership. And also when we give housing loan, we make sure the house belongs to the woman because she has taken the loan, built the house. And the bank itself is owned by the poor people and poor women, because that also transforms their life. So the more we can organize ownership, the more enthusiastic they become, that they want to build up on whatever they own. While they're owning their cows and the chickens and so on, they're owning the bank.
Right.
And they can own big companies by buying the share of those companies. So that's another way of bringing ownership to those people. Only thing we need, financial mechanism, how to make it happen. So I would definitely endorse anybody who takes initiative in ownership.
That concept of how they're actually getting to own in the bank, and the way that you have got, this is the second element, which is the one about information sharing, the knowledge of how to lift yourself up, because for many it's about just having that knowledge, and that's why when you have them meeting together, when you have them effectively having to save as well, and I think you've got about 50% more savings than you have in loans, right? So for example, if you had a Grameen Bank, someone who's actually got a loan with the Grameen Bank, then maybe if it's a $100 loan, they'd actually have $150 in savings built up over time.
Absolutely.
The second thing, which is about information and how that's shared, and the fact that you have got the majority, and it's not just within Grameen Bank, it's microfinancing around the world, that the majority appear to be to women. What would you say is the reason that that's the case?
The reason was, initially we're trying to make it 50-50 because the banks never paid attention to women in Bangladesh. So we thought we need to correct it. So in our system, we wanted to make sure half the borrowers are women. When we achieved that, we saw money going to the family through women. Brought so much more benefit to the family than the same amount of money going to the family through men. So we changed our policy. We said, let's focus on women because it brings so much impact in the family. So as a result, today we have 97% of our borrowers are women. Out of the 7.5 million borrowers that we have, 97%.
That's incredible. And that brings it on to the third one, which is this back to the concept of trust, which if we're not in a credit crisis, we are in a trust crisis, because there's more enough credit and more enough money, but when the trust breaks down, then we don't work together. When someone's getting started, and let's say they want to do business in China, how do they start trusting people in China? If they want to get banks to finance, how do they get the banks trust, and so on? And the way that you built that within microfinancing, the way that's worked, from the point of view of, let's say, entrepreneurs around the world, and those who may say, hey, in terms of going for microfinancing, I hadn't really thought that's even an option for me because I'm living in Australia, or right now I'm starting a business in Hong Kong. But the idea that I could somehow build some circles of trust or build trust with others that allows me to get the resources. What advice would you have for entrepreneurs, like within Excel around the world, we have entrepreneurs all in different countries. What advice would you give them in times like this to allow them to start really building that trust up, and as a result being able to build their wealth and their ability to contribute?
Well, first of all, no matter how big the crisis is, it has to be a temporary one. This cannot be a permanent thing for human life. So maybe it will short time, it will take longer time, but it will be over. Having that in mind, we can make it a speedier recovery if we start the process earlier by trusting each other and being in business rather than lose our heart. This would be very important thing. And the trust relationship with the poor people is also very important. How the well-established businesses can extend themselves to the poor people. Instead of taking them as a kind of subject of charity, they can build a relationship of trust by creating business opportunities for them, like social businesses, businesses to help them move on with their life and better themselves along the way. Always we have done it on a charity way, but now I'm suggesting, why don't we do it in a social business?
In a social business.
Create a business where he and she are benefited, and you created an institution, and you can take back your money, the investment money, but no, you don't expect any dividend to take it. That dividend is not an expectation.
It's operating profitability, but fundamentally it's actually building a bank as being transparent, just like a business.
So that would be something, building a relationship of trust.
If you haven't actually read Muhammad Yunus's book yet, Social Business, do get hold of it, because it is absolutely phenomenal. If you haven't seen the article that we actually did in Excel Magazine with Muhammad Yunus, go online to resultsfoundation.com, because it's there, and we had some really just brilliant insights there as well. And also, we're here at the Direct Selling Summit right now, which we have from all around the world have come in here, and that I think is all part and parcel of this as well, because what, as you say, it's about is actually getting out to people rather than actually expecting everyone to necessarily come to the banks, which I think is fantastic as well. well. So I want to just finish by saying thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Yunus, for the
It's a great pleasure.
chance to have a
Thanks a
chance to
lot.
talk. Thank you very much.